Feldman, the Watchman. On Partners in the Gospel, we talk with ministry leaders, pastors, and other local community members, as well as national influencers who are making a kingdom impact. We are here on 100.7 FM The Word and also on podcast at thewordfm1007.com. Well, welcome to Partners in the Gospel. We have a great program for you today. In our first segment, former Monument City Council person and the current chair of the El Paso County chapter of Moms for Liberty, Darcy Schoening. And in our second segment, we have former NFL offensive lineman and a wonderful minister of the gospel, Leo Goes. Darcy, welcome to Partners in the Gospel.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you on here. Darcy is the mother of two children. She is recently the former Monument City Council person. She's the director of publicity for Pikes Peak Firearms and on the board of the Colorado Federation of Republican Women. And now she is the chair of the El Paso County chapter of Moms for Liberty. And that's why we have her on the program today. Moms for Liberty is a nonpartisan national organization that helps parents protect their parental rights and the rights of their children. So, of course, today we're talking with Darcy about protecting your parental rights and the rights of your children. So, Darcy, let's get to it right now. What are some of the biggest challenges to parental and children's rights in the Pikes Peak region that parents probably don't even know are going on?
Sure. So I'd be glad to talk about some of the things that you as parents may not know are happening in the Pikes Peak region. As we know, a lot of things that our schools and our boards have been doing were done in the darkness until COVID. And so that's the silver lining of COVID is we kind of know a little bit more. And one of the major things that's going on in the Pikes Peak region right now is we have at least two schools where boys who identify as girls are permitted by the administration and by the school boards to change clothes in front of the girls.
So that's going on here. That's just not something we're hearing on in the national news.
No,
it's actually going on locally. Great.
It sadly is. We've got a couple families we've been working with that are going through it. A 16-year-old girl in Monument who has to change right next to a boy. And as we know, Biden passed his order right after he became president to protect the rights of trans children. But I'm calling on the school districts throughout El Paso County to think a little bit more about the rights of other children. We've got thousands of kids that represent the majority and not just the super vocal minority here. So we need to be thinking about all children. And I'm challenging all these school districts to come up with a solution to this trans issue with bathrooms. Moms for Liberty is working on active solutions, and we hope that the school districts will join in. But if they are not going to willingly join in, we'll be working on this in other ways because, again, we're here for the kids.
And we're talking about no special rights. Like that's what's going on now. And yes, we're all into individual rights. That's what America is about. But when a single individual is getting his or her rights overtaking that of thousands or more of others, there we have a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I would just put it to most parents in this way. How would you feel if your daughter came home and said, "Dad, I have to change next to a boy every day at school"? I mean, nobody wants to hear that, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on.
I would hope so. So what's another challenge that we're looking at?
So we've got House Bill 1003, which just passed through committee last week, mental health assessments for schools, and that's going to fly out of the House and Senate floors in the coming weeks. And so what this bill does is it allows the schools to conduct mental health assessments on your children. The issue with it is that if a child wants to opt into the policy, a parent cannot opt out their child over the age of 12. So once again, we're seeing more of the state trying to assume the role of parents, and it's a very slippery slope.
What country are we in?
China? I don't know.
Wow. And so this is where they would be able to, and this is not, I would think most parents would want some kind of Christian counseling for their parents who listen to the station would want that for their children. But here the parents have no say. They won't even know what's going on. It's kept private to them. And we're not talking about 18-year-olds. We're talking 12, 13, 14-year-olds.
Correct.
Yeah. That's scary
and we've
stuff.
already got instances of what's going on here. We've got a mom in D49 whose tomboy daughter was told that she needs to go ahead and transition to a male. So, the state can't be trusted with this.
Right. So we know where what agendas are being pushed through this. Okay. And thirdly, something about the libraries.
Library books. So we've been going through every library in the district. And I should say, we've got a girl with us, Samantha Wild, who just tears through these books, and she's finding hundreds of books with LGBTQ materials, sadomasochism, all kinds of just sexual materials. And these are in middle school libraries. Mm-hmm. So we've actively started trying to remove those books. Fortunately, we've got the law on our side. We've challenged the districts to go ahead and remove these books. We're giving them a little bit of time, and then just like everything else, then we move on to Plan B. And meanwhile, we're bringing in Moms for Libraries, which Moms for Liberty started nationally, and they've got Christian publishers and pro-America publishers. Imagine that, people who love our country. Mm-hmm. And we're putting more of those books into our schools. So you'll be seeing a lot of those books, Moms for Liberty placing those throughout El Paso County in the coming weeks.
Okay, excellent. So tell us more about Moms for Liberty, as far as a national organization and working here on the local level.
Sure. So Moms for Liberty was started at the beginning of COVID. A couple moms started it out in Florida to stand up for parental rights. They didn't want their kids masked. They didn't want their kids sitting at home. And then that evolved over the last couple years to a massive organization that is pulling people in from all sides of the political spectrum, lots of big names. And we're standing up and we're saying we've had enough. We're the parents, not the state of Colorado, not the state of wherever you live. We're the parents. So we're making a lot of progress. We've changed a lot of policies in El Paso County already, removed a lot of books already, and so we're a pretty strong organization.
Mm-hmm. And we don't want people out there listening. This isn't a book burning kind of thing. I mean, if you knew the books.
Oh, I could show you the books. Come to me.
that no parent would want, even maybe their 18 or their 30-year-old looking at some of these books. And we really need to confront the fact that the state, which of course they talk about separation of church and state all the time, but what that really means is pushing the church out of the picture. So I know this is a nonpartisan. It's not specifically a religious organization, but how do you personally bring in your faith and brought you to be the chair of the local chapter?
Sure. So that's a little bit of an interesting story. I was actually just kind of handed the chapter back when I was still a councilwoman. And I said to myself, what is Moms for Liberty? What can I do here? My kids are in a private school. I mean, I don't have to mess with this. Mm-hmm. And as the months went by and I learned a little bit more about Moms for Liberty and I got some moms on board. I've got a co-chair now, Chrissy Davis, who does a great job. It's interesting because it's like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. It's like God said, your city council term is coming to an end. You've got a strong voice, you've got the passion, and you've got the time, and this is where I'm going to put you. And so that's what I'm doing. And I fully believe that I'm here for a reason. And when, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's when I'm 102 years old, hopefully I want to pass away knowing that I did every single thing that I did, not just for my kids, but for your kids, for everybody's kids, because without that, what do we have?
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So I'd like you, as you were an elected leader in Monument, and we certainly have these school board members, we have city council members, mayor, county commissioners, and others who we've invested our vote in them to go out and represent us and to represent our constitutional rights, to look out for us, not to name names, but what are you seeing out there among the school boards? Are they really standing up for us? And if not so much, what would you like to say to them to encourage them to do so?
I would say that less than half of the elected board members in El Paso County are doing what we thought that they would do when we elected them. And that's not a harsh criticism. I've sat up there on the dais. I know how hard it is when there's 50 people with pitchforks screaming at you, you know, but it's easy to talk a big game. And then when the rubber hits the road, it's very easy to say, well, if I pass this, if I make separate bathrooms in D38 for children to use so that they don't have to change in front of a boy who identifies as a girl, then the left is going to attack me and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Listen, we get that. We know that happens to you and it's scary. But we're here for you. I mean, we're a huge organization. Let us take some of that brunt. We're not afraid. We'll do that. So when we say we want to challenge these boards to uphold parental rights a little more, we're not asking you to do that out in the dark. We're here for you. We're going to help write policies. We're going to help you with those books. We're going to find the law that's on your side. We're here as an arm of support for the boards.
You're writing a parental bill of rights.
Yes, we are writing.
Tell us about that.
Yes. So as everyone knows, last year, Representative Geithner wrote a parental bill of rights, which was amazing. But with the Democrat-controlled legislature, it died in like 3 minutes up there. So local control, you know, if the state's not going to protect their children, let's go to each board. So we're writing a parental bill of rights right now, and we're actually getting input from different elected officials and different school districts. And then we are going to challenge all of our school districts to pass that as a precursor. We've gone around and we've gotten a lot of elected officials to sign the Moms for Liberty pledge to uphold parental rights. And we're going to use that to start going into the districts and going to different board members and getting them to say, that they'll sign on to the parental bill of rights. Okay. And something you told me, I don't know if you mentioned it during the interview, but you told me before the interview, it is possible this House bill that you discuss, what's the number of that again? 1003. 1003, that the school board could opt out the entire school district to not have to comply to this, but once they accept it, yes, then the powers get lost. Yes, sir. Thank you. That's a very good point. So on House Bill 1003, that's another thing that we are actively working on. School districts have to opt in. They don't have to opt out. They have to opt in. But if they opt in, once they do that, children over the age of 12, their parents cannot opt them out. So the way that we're approaching this is let's get the school districts not to opt in. Okay. Excellent. Well, I'm sorry we don't have more time. We want to finish up. We want people to know to go to the website moms4liberty.org. And on there, on the main page, find the El Paso County, Colorado chapter, and that will connect them to you. And then yes, they can reach out, find out how to get involved, how to support you. Yes. So we want everybody to get involved. This is about our rights as Americans, yes, and maybe more importantly about our children. And so please get involved, find out more about Moms for Liberty, and just get out there and do something, because I think we've all been surprised this morning about what's going on out there. And if we don't get involved, we the people, who will? Exactly. So, Darcy, thank you so much for being with us on Partners in the Gospel today. Thank you, Chaim, for having me. It was an honor. And coming up after the break on Partners in the Gospel,